here's why I think it happened. Because it's a Democrat primary. That is the only time the media asks tough questions of Democrats or is in any way relentless in questioning a Democrat. That's why. Because it's Dem-on-Dem violence. It's like normally they steer clear of it. If Katie Porter were already the nominee up against a Republican, I'm sorry, I don't know this particular reporter, but the vast majority of the media would not lay a glove on her. There would be no follow-up. It would have been a lot more gentle from most reporters. But it's Dem-on-Dem contest now. So that's when you see the media actually lean into being good journalists. Like, that's great. They actually do want the strongest candidate to emerge so that they can beat the Republican.
I think also from a ratings perspective, this journalist is probably thinking, okay, it's my job to be a conduit from, let's say, all Californians. California has been shifting to the right. In this last election, President Trump was able to shift so many counties to the right. They thought Kamala was going to win in this massive landslide because she's from California. She didn't. She won California, obviously. But I think California has been shifting red. People want voter ID. They want common sense. They want to clean up the homelessness. So I actually don't blame this journalist for pressing Katie Porter a little bit. What are you going to do? Because it's a fallacy to think that everyone in California is a diehard liberal. I don't think that's the case. I think about 40% are red.
Right. And you can't just ignore them when you're asking to be governor of the whole state. Eventually, you heard her kind of stumble into what should have been the first answer, which is like, I represented a purple area and Orange County, so I understand. Yes, that's your answer, madam. That's where you should have gone. I understand those people. I know what their concerns. Then articulate their concerns and say, and my policies on X, Y, and Z are much better than this other guy's. That's why I should get the red vote too. Okay, let's keep going because there's other clips of Katie that I do want to get to. Okay, she's super fun, this lady. Here is the Katie Porter comparing herself. Well, I'll let this out play for itself, but she's being asked about those toxic workplace allegations and whether she's a bully. Listen here, SOT 3.
And I saw this as a professor, certainly. Female professors, particularly women of color, get much worse teaching evaluations.
Yes.
And even when all the professional evaluations are the same. And so we see this again and again. Yeah. Lots of the so-called bad bosses are women and disproportionately people of color. I think it's really unfortunate because those are the very voices we need more of in our government. Yeah. So I'm proud of my staff. I'm proud of the relationship we've built.
Okay, so she's like a woman of color who was discriminated against when asked about whether she's a bully. This was just April of 2023. That's okay. She's Rosa Parks now. She's not a bully. She's always been bullied. Democrats get very uncomfortable when you put them in the role of like the victimizer. They're much more comfortable being the victim. Much.
No, absolutely. It's funny. She says she's a woman of color or something. I'm like, no, you're just wearing pink. Okay, you're not a woman of color because you're wearing color. But no, what's interesting is there's so many up and coming Democrats right now who have bullying allegations. Look at Jasmine Crockett. She was accused of bullying and having people, open the car door for her and snapping at them and making male aides carry her purse and carry a pillow. I think these Democrats are just divas and they're used to everything going their way. That is what is so clear about Katie Porter. In every single clip, they're used to nobody pressing them. It's not like President Trump where he gets 99% negative coverage from the mainstream media. Katie Porter knows going on The View, they're going to be pretty positive and nice to her. And then even Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris had tons of bullying allegations. She had 92% staff turnover the 4 years she was in DC as vice president. The media didn't even want to cover that. They didn't want to cover any of that. And so Katie Porter, we are going to bring your stuff out into the open now because we have new media, we have podcasts, and these Democrats can't hide their horrific behavior any longer.
All right, and put a pin in that because we will get to Meghan Markle before the end of this hour when we're talking about badly behaving Democrats who appear to be psychopaths. Listen to her when Fox's Hillary Vaughn asked her in April of 2024, that first shot I think I said was April 2023. Here's a year after, April 2024, asking her about some of the chants we're hearing and that are anti-Israel and anti-America, SOT 5.
Protesters blocking the Brooklyn Bridge burned the American flag and chanted death to America. Do you condemn this type of rhetoric?
We've got to get her onto her next event here.
Are you okay with people burning the American flag?
If you'd like to follow up with us, so.
Are you okay with people chanting death to America?
Sorry,
she's
we've got to head into
Congresswoman Porter, are you okay with people chanting death to America? Is it okay? Do you not have a problem with it?
Happy to reach out here.
I mean, that guy does seem a little gay to me, Link. I don't know.
She has one gay assistant, but honestly, the people around you might be sabotaging you. I'm happy she was getting some exercise in that clip, though. She was getting sunlight, vitamin D, exercise. These are things I think Democrats need more of. But the reason she won't answer is because the Democrats are perfectly fine with Americans chanting, death to America, burning the American flag. As we just saw in Portland with Nick Sorter, who's an independent journalist, he was trying to put out an American flag that they were burning. There is this radical Marxist faction on the left that's growing and growing, and folks like Katie Porter are so scared of turning them off they won't condemn that behavior. That's what we're seeing with Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries. They're not radical far left, but they're just capitulating to those folks because they don't want to scare that progressive wing of their party. So the reason Katie Porter didn't answer, it's not because she had to go to an event, it's because she thinks that's fine.
Yeah, she had no problem with it. Here she is behaving dishonestly and as an extremist on the subject of women's rights versus trans rights. She was on with Bill Maher. Thank God Piers Morgan was there. And here's a snippet of what happened in 5B.
You should be able to have a civil debate. Nobody, including Riley Gaines, who I disagree with strongly, should be
What do you disagree with, out of interest?
I think that it should be up to sporting bodies to make the decisions about who and how should compete.
What has she said that's actually wrong?
I think that what she has done is try to turn this. We talked about people, using things to kind of get likes and get clicks.
That's not what she's doing.
It's not?
I've got no truck for Riley Gaines personally, but all I've seen her do is stand up for women's rights to fairness and equality.
Well,
she actually competed against Leah Thomas, and it was obviously unfair. Leah Thomas won one of the races in the NCAA championships by 50 seconds against a bunch of biological females who simply couldn't keep up. That cannot be right. It cannot be fair.
That is something.
I'm here for a pleasant experience. I was told this would be positive and I would be happy. Bill Maher.
That's when I show up on a first date. I was told this was going to go well. What is happening? I feel bamboozled. But no, this is really what it's like. The women on the left, they purport themselves to be, feminist, and we're going to protect and uplift our girls. They're perfectly fine with men coming into their locker rooms, into their sports teams. For folks like Katie Porter, Kamala Harris, all of these elite women Democrats, they think women's rights begin and end with abortion, right? That's it. They think women's rights is abortion.
So right.
Kamala Harris showed us that on the campaign trail for 107 days. What did Kamala Harris talk about? Bringing abortion. She would go to black colleges and tell young girls, we're going to get you the right to abortion. We're going to do this abortion. And the girls are like, okay, but women's rights is also like, how do we pay our bills? How do we have health care? How do we not have criminals on the street so we can walk home from work? And so for Katie Porter, of course, she doesn't know about women's rights, and she thinks it's fine for guys to come in to women's sports teams. But this is going to continue to be the losing issue for Democrats, and they keep trying to minimize it.
One more, and then we'll move off of Katie Porter. But here she is talking about her 12-year-old after Trump won last November.
So on election night, I went to pick up my daughter from water polo practice, and she's 12, and she got in the car and she was crying. And I said, did someone punch you? Like, water polo is a rough sport. I was like, did someone hit you? Did the coach yell at you? What happened? And she said, Mom, Trump won. Trump's going to win. And what if I get raped and I need to have an abortion? This is from a 12-year-old, my 12-year-old daughter. And so it was really a reminder of how scary this time is for people, and how important it is for Democrats to have strategies, both at the state level and the federal level, to make sure that we can continue to protect people's rights.
It's really a reminder of how sick you are as her mother to be filling a 12-year-old's head full of worries about getting raped and needing abortions, and having that be, of course, your next available option. I'll have something hideous happen to me. By the way, if it does, it will be at the hands of a Democrat DA who let some criminal come in and go out like it's a revolving door. And then, of course, what I'll do is I'll kill my baby because I'm Katie Porter's daughter. This reveals so much about her.
No, she's absolutely a radical. And folks like Katie Porter and Pete Buttigieg, these folks who think they're sort of the next generation of the Democratic Party, they always want to portray themselves as very moderate, middle of the road. We're just like moderate Democrats. When push comes to shove and you really press them, they are just as radical as everybody else, right? They want abortion until the end. They want open borders. They want criminals on the street. They want men and women's sports. They want the transing of children. And they might say, oh, we don't want these things, right? But it's sort of like lying by omission. If you won't condemn something that's absolutely horrific, right? Absolutely disgusting, like a 16-year-old girl getting a mastectomy, which should never happen in the United States of America. If you won't condemn that, then that makes me see you as a sick and disgusting person yourself. And I hate that we even have to have this conversation, you know what I'm saying, about people who are seeking high offices in the United States of America. But that's who Katie Porter is, and she's kind of on par with this next generation of Democrats.
Did you know gold is up around 40% this year? That's not speculation, it's reality. And if a portion of your savings is not diversified into gold, you are missing the boat. Here are the facts. Inflation is still too high. The US dollar is still too weak. And the government debt is still growing. This is why central banks are flocking to gold. They're the ones driving prices up to record highs. But it's not too late to buy gold from Birch Gold Group and get in the door now. Birch Gold will help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into one in gold. You don't pay a penny out of pocket. Just text MK to 989898 and claim your free info kit. There's no obligation, just useful information. The best indicator of the future is the past, and gold has historically been a safe haven. Text MK to 989898 right now to claim your free info kit on gold. MK to 989898. Protect your future today with Birch Gold. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.